Did you know that 99.9% of everything built eventually crumbles to dust? It's crazy to think about, right? But it's true. Even the most powerful empires, the most advanced civilizations, they all eventually fall. Today, we're going on an epic journey through history to uncover the secrets of 12 cities that once ruled the world. These were places of unimaginable wealth, power, and innovation, but something happened. They crumbled, they vanished, and today we're left with nothing but mysteries and ruins. Get ready to explore lost empires, uncover ancient secrets, and learn the shocking truth about why these once mighty cities crumbled. This is 12 cities that ruled the world, and why they fell. Let's go. Our first stop takes us back thousands of years to ancient Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization, to a city that rose from the desert sands to become a legend, Babylon. Imagine a city so grand, so opulent, that its riches were whispered about in hushed tones across the known world. We're talking massive ziggurats reaching for the heavens, shimmering palaces adorned with gold, and the legendary Hanging Gardens, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. This was a city of innovation, a hub of trade, and a center of learning that drew scholars and artists from far and wide. Babylon was a melting pot of cultures, a place where ideas were exchanged as freely as goods. They even developed one of the first ever written legal codes, Hammurabi's Code, which influenced law for centuries to come. But all this grandeur, all this power, it couldn't last forever. So, what happened? How could a city so powerful, so influential, just vanish? Well, like most great empires, Babylon's success sowed the seeds of its own destruction. Internal strife, constant warfare, and a dwindling water supply weakened the empire from within. Then, in 539 BC, a cunning strategist named Cyrus the Great, the leader of the Persians, saw his chance. Cyrus had a plan, a brilliant but audacious plan. He would divert the Euphrates River, Babylon's lifeline, and make his move under the cover of darkness. And that's exactly what he did. With the city's defenses down, Cyrus's forces slipped into Babylon, catching the Babylonians completely off guard. The once mighty city, the jewel of Mesopotamia, fell in a single night. Alright guys, buckle up because we're heading to ancient Rome, a city that went from a small city-state to a sprawling empire that dominated most of the known world. For over 500 years, Rome was synonymous with power, military might, and architectural marvels that still blow our minds today. We're talking gladiators battling in the Colosseum, emperors ruling with an iron fist, and a network of roads so well built they're still used in some places today. Roman law, Roman engineering, Roman culture. It influenced Western civilization like nothing else. But Rome wasn't built in a day. It took centuries of conquest, political maneuvering, and a healthy dose of ruthlessness to forge this mighty empire. From the Punic Wars against Carthage to the conquest of Gaul, Roman legions marched across Europe, leaving a trail of both destruction and innovation in their wake. The cracks begin to show, but even empires as mighty as Rome have their weaknesses. By the 3rd century AD, cracks were starting to appear in this seemingly invincible empire. Corruption was rampant, the economy was in shambles, and those once loyal legions were now more loyal to their generals than to Rome itself. Adding fuel to the fire, waves of barbarian tribes, sensing weakness, began to test Rome's defenses. From the fierce Goths to the nomadic Huns, pressure mounted on the empire's borders. Rome was fighting for its life, but the enemy wasn't just at the gates, it was within. The Roman Empire was massive, too vast to be governed effectively. It was like trying to manage a YouTube channel with billions of subscribers and no internet connection. Something had to give. Imagine a city so strong, so impenetrable that it stood for over 1,000 years, holding off armies and empires. That's Constantinople for you, the capital of the Byzantine Empire, what remained of the Roman Empire long after Rome itself faded. Now, Constantinople wasn't just about brute force, it was strategically located at the crossroads of Europe and Asia. This made it a hub for trade, culture, and all the riches you could imagine. We're talking silks from the east, spices from India, all flowing through Constantinople's bustling markets. Think of it like this: if you wanted to get rich back in the day, Constantinople was the place to be. It was a melting pot of cultures, a beacon of knowledge, and a city that seemed destined to rule forever. But as we all know, nothing lasts forever, right? Now here's where things get crazy. After 1,000 years of prosperity, and literally brushing off attacks like they were nothing, Constantinople finally fell. Can you believe that? 1,000 years. That's longer than some countries have even existed. In 1453, the Ottomans, with their cannons and sheer determination, breached the legendary walls of Constantinople. It was a turning point in history, marking the end of the Byzantine Empire and the rise of the Ottoman Empire as a major power. Imagine the chaos, the destruction, the sheer scale of it all. It's enough to make your head spin, right? But amidst the rubble and the ruins, there's a lesson to be learned. Even the mightiest empires can crumble, and even the most impenetrable cities can fall. It makes you think, what other secrets are buried beneath the sands of time, just waiting to be unearthed? Stick around because we're about to dive into the story of another legendary city, Alexandria, the jewel of the ancient world. Get ready to have your minds blown because we're about to journey to Alexandria, a city so legendary, so full of knowledge, that it makes modern libraries look like, well, child's play. We're talking about a library so vast, so comprehensive, that it held the collected wisdom of the ancient world. Imagine scrolls upon scrolls filled with everything from philosophy and mathematics to astronomy and medicine. People traveled from the far corners of the earth just to catch a glimpse of its wonders. It was like the Google of its time, only 1,000 times cooler. But Alexandria wasn't just about books. It was a melting pot of cultures, a bustling port city where East met West, and ideas were exchanged as freely as goods and services. We're talking groundbreaking discoveries, inventions that changed the world, and a level of intellectual exchange that wouldn't be seen again for centuries. Now here's the heartbreaking part. Alexandria, this beacon of knowledge, this powerhouse of culture and innovation, didn't fall in one swift blow like Constantinople. Its decline was gradual, a slow burn that's still shrouded in mystery. Some say it was a series of fires, others point to political instability and conquest. Whatever the cause, the loss of Alexandria's library is considered one of the greatest tragedies in human history. Imagine all that knowledge, all that history, gone in a puff of smoke. It's a stark reminder that even the most brilliant civilizations are fragile, and that knowledge, once lost, is not easily regained. But hey, maybe there are still some secrets buried beneath the sands waiting for us to uncover them, right? Let's move on to our next incredible city, Carthage, a city that dared to challenge the might of Rome. We've talked about cities of knowledge and empires of might, but now, get ready for a city that had it all. Carthage. This ancient powerhouse, nestled in North Africa, was a force to be reckoned with. We're talking a maritime empire that dominated trade, a strategic mastermind that challenged Rome itself. Think of it, this city, founded by Phoenician explorers, rose from the desert sands to become a major player in the ancient world. They had a navy that ruled the Mediterranean, a network of trade routes that stretched across continents, and an economy that would make even the most successful CEOs jealous. Carthage was known for its skilled sailors, fearless warriors, and savvy merchants. They were masters of their domain, and for a while it seemed like nothing could stop them. They even went toe-to-toe with Rome, and for a time, it was a close call. Now, here's where things get really interesting. You don't become a legend without facing some serious challenges, and for Carthage that challenge came in the form of Rome. We're talking about the legendary Punic Wars, a clash of titans that spanned over a century and involved epic battles, cunning strategies, and enough drama to make a Hollywood screenwriter jealous. Carthage, led by the legendary General Hannibal, pushed Rome to its limits. Imagine elephants marching across the Alps, Hannibal's tactical genius outmaneuvering Roman legions. It was a fight for the ages. But in the end, Rome's might proved too much for Carthage to overcome. The city was razed to the ground, its people scattered, and its once great empire reduced to ruins. It's a sobering reminder that even the most powerful empires can fall, and that sometimes even the most valiant efforts aren't enough to change the course of history. But hey, don't get too bummed out, because the story doesn't end there. We've still got a whole lot of amazing cities to explore, each with its own unique story to tell. So buckle up, because we're about to dive into the world of ancient Athens, the birthplace of democracy, and so much more. This time we're traveling to ancient Greece, to the city of Athens. This wasn't just any city, guys. This was the birthplace of democracy, the home of philosophy, and the center of art and theater. We're talking Socrates, Plato, Aristotle. These guys were changing the game with their big brains. Imagine walking down the street and bumping into these legendary thinkers. Athens was the place to be, attracting the brightest minds and the most talented artists. They were inventing new stuff left and right, building incredible structures like the Parthenon, and basically laying the foundation for Western civilization as we know it. I mean, come on, democracy? That's a pretty huge deal. They were light years ahead of their time. But here's the mind-blowing part. even with all this success, even with all this brilliance, Athens eventually fell. I know, right? It's crazy. How does a city at the top of its game just collapse? Well, that's what we're about to find out. Get ready for some serious plot twists because Athens' story is full of them. Wars, power struggles, internal conflicts, they had it all. Stick with me because we're about to dive deep into the rise and fall of one of history's most influential cities, and trust me, you do not want to miss this. Athens was on fire, literally. The Peloponnesian War, a brutal conflict with Sparta, really messed things up. Imagine your city constantly under attack, people living in fear, resources dwindling. It was chaos. This war went on for years, draining Athens of its power and resources. But it wasn't just the external threats that weakened Athens. Internal conflicts, power struggles, and bad decisions from their leaders played a major role in their downfall. Remember those great thinkers I mentioned earlier? Well, they weren't always in charge. Sometimes power fell into the wrong hands, and let's just say they didn't make the best choices. Eventually, Athens lost its independence and became part of the Roman Republic. And just like that, the once mighty city-state that had ruled the Mediterranean lost its power and influence. Talk about a fall from grace. It's a reminder that even the greatest civilizations are not invincible. But here's the thing about Athens, even though it fell from its position of power, its legacy lived on. Think about it, their ideas about democracy, their contributions to philosophy, art, and architecture, they're still with us today. That's the power of ideas, they can outlive empires. Alright guys, buckle up because we're heading to the Americas. This time we're talking about Tenochtitlan, the capital of the Aztec Empire. And let me tell you, this city was epic. Picture this, a sprawling city built on an island in the middle of a lake, connected by causeways and canals. We're not talking about a small village here, people. Tenochtitlan was a massive metropolis, with a population larger than most European cities at the time. This was a civilization at its peak, with advanced engineering, agriculture, and a complex social structure. They had floating gardens called chinampas to grow food, a sophisticated system of canals for transportation, and massive pyramids and temples that would rival anything in the ancient world. Imagine exploring this city, with its bustling marketplaces, vibrant colors, and the sounds of thousands of people going about their day. But just like all the other cities we've talked about, Tenochtitlan's story has a tragic ending. The arrival of the Spanish conquistadors in the 16th century spelled doom for this magnificent city. The Spanish, with their superior weapons and ruthlessness, were unlike anything the Aztecs had ever encountered. It was like something out of a movie, a clash of two worlds. Get ready for a story filled with bravery, betrayal, and ultimately, tragedy. The fall of Tenochtitlan is a reminder of the clash of civilizations and the brutal realities of conquest. It's a story that's both fascinating and heartbreaking, and we're about to break it all down for you. The Spanish, led by Hernan Cortés, arrived in Tenochtitlan in 1519. They were amazed by the city's grandeur, but their amazement quickly turned into greed. The Spanish craved gold, and they weren't afraid to use any means necessary to get it. Think about it, a small group of conquistadors taking on a mighty empire. It seemed impossible, but the Spanish had a few secret weapons up their sleeves. First, they formed alliances with rival indigenous tribes who were eager to see the Aztecs fall. This was a classic case of divide and conquer. Second, the Spanish brought with them diseases like smallpox, which ripped through the Aztec population like wildfire. The Aztecs had no immunity to these diseases and millions perished. The final blow came in 1521 when the Spanish, along with their native allies, laid siege to Tenochtitlan. The city, weakened by disease and famine, couldn't hold out forever. The Spanish, with their cannons and horses, overwhelmed the Aztecs. Can you imagine the chaos and destruction? It was a brutal and bloody battle, and in the end, Tenochtitlan, the once proud capital of the Aztec Empire, lay in ruins. It's a story that still resonates today, a reminder of the human cost of conquest and the resilience of cultures in the face of adversity. Even though Tenochtitlan was destroyed, its memory lived on, becoming a symbol of Aztec civilization and a reminder of the importance of preserving history. We're switching gears and heading to Africa, to the legendary city of Timbuktu. Now, when you hear the name Timbuktu, you probably think of a far-off, mysterious place, right? Well, back in the day, Timbuktu was the real deal. A bustling center of trade and learning that attracted scholars and merchants from all over the world. We're talking about a time when this city was the Silicon Valley of its day. Imagine caravans laden with gold, salt, ivory, and slaves traversing the Sahara Desert, all roads leading to Timbuktu. This city was strategically located at the crossroads of the trans-Saharan trade route, and boy, did they know how to capitalize on it. We're talking serious wealth and prosperity here. But Timbuktu wasn't just about making money. This city was a beacon of knowledge, home to a prestigious university and libraries that housed countless manuscripts on everything from astronomy and mathematics to medicine and literature. It was like a giant library of Alexandria in the middle of the desert. So there you have it, a city in the middle of the desert that became a global hub of trade and knowledge. It's a story that proves that even in the most unexpected places, human ingenuity and the thirst for knowledge can flourish. But as we've learned from our journey so far, even the most successful cities can fall. Stick around to find out what led to the decline of this once great center of learning. So, what happened to Timbuktu? Well, like with many great cities, its decline was a gradual process influenced by a combination of factors. One major blow came in the late 16th century when the Songhai Empire, of which Timbuktu was a part, was weakened by internal strife and eventually conquered by invaders. Then, there were the changing trade routes. As maritime navigation improved, European powers established new trade routes that bypassed the Sahara Desert, and just like that, Timbuktu's monopoly on trade began to fade. It's like when a new highway opens up, and suddenly the old town square isn't the main attraction anymore. The decline wasn't immediate, but gradually, Timbuktu lost its status as a major trading hub and intellectual center. The once bustling markets quieted down, and the libraries and universities that had attracted scholars from far and wide saw a decline in activity. But here's the thing about Timbuktu: even though it's a shadow of its former self, its legacy as a center of learning and a testament to African intellectual prowess lives on. The city still holds a certain mystique, a reminder of a time when the sands of the Sahara whispered tales of scholarship, trade, and a civilization that thrived against all odds. Buckle up, because we're about to dive into some real Indiana Jones stuff. We're talking about Angkor, the capital of the Khmer Empire, which ruled over Southeast Asia for centuries. This place was massive, sprawling over 400 square kilometers. That's like 150,000 football fields. And you wouldn't believe the kind of stuff they built. We're talking intricate temples, massive stone structures, complex irrigation systems. It was like something straight out of a movie. Seriously, picture this. Temples reaching for the sky, covered in carvings so detailed you'd swear they were made by giants. Angkor Wat, the most famous temple, is considered the largest religious monument in the world. Can you imagine the manpower and skill it took to build something like that without modern tools? It's mind-blowing. They even had a giant reservoir called the West Baray, bigger than Central Park, to manage the water supply for the entire city. This city was at the heart of one of the most powerful empires in Southeast Asia, a cultural and economic powerhouse. So the million-dollar question is, what happened? How did a city this advanced, this powerful, just disappear into the jungle? Stick around, because things are about to get really interesting. Voiceover: historians have been scratching their heads for centuries trying to figure out what exactly happened to Angkor. Imagine a city thriving for over 600 years and then, poof, almost like it vanished overnight. Was it a natural disaster, a war, a mysterious plague? Some theories point to climate change, suggesting a mega drought messed with their sophisticated irrigation systems and crippled their agriculture. Others believe it was a combination of factors like invasions, overexpansion, and maybe even a shift in religious beliefs. Whatever the reason, Angkor was slowly abandoned, its magnificent structures swallowed by the jungle. It was like the jungle was saying, "You're not using this anymore? Okay, it's mine now." And for centuries, Angkor remained hidden, a sleeping giant lost to time. That is until the 19th century, when French explorers stumbled upon it, and the world gasped at the rediscovery of this lost civilization. And let me tell you, the secrets Angkor holds are still being unearthed today. It's a real-life mystery, and who knows what amazing discoveries are still waiting in those ancient ruins. We're traveling back in time to the 8th century, to a city that was like the Silicon Valley of its time, Baghdad. This wasn't just any city. This was Baghdad during the Islamic Golden Age, a period of incredible intellectual and cultural explosion. We're talking groundbreaking discoveries in math, science, astronomy, medicine, you name it. Imagine libraries so vast, they were more like cities of knowledge, filled with scholars from all over the world. They weren't just collecting scrolls, they were translating them, debating ideas, and pushing the boundaries of human understanding. It was like the world's biggest brainstorming session, and it lasted for centuries. This was the era of legendary scholars like Al-Khwarizmi, the father of algebra, and Ibn Sina, whose medical encyclopedia was used for centuries after his death. They made discoveries that shaped the course of history, and Baghdad was the epicenter of it all. It was a beacon of knowledge, a melting pot of cultures, a city way ahead of its time. So how did a city at the forefront of human progress, a city brimming with such incredible minds, fall from grace? Well, get ready, because the story of Baghdad's decline is a roller coaster ride of ambition, conflict, and ultimately, destruction. Voiceover. For centuries, Baghdad thrived under the Abbasid Caliphate, but internal strife and external pressures began to weaken its foundations. It's like a house divided against itself, right? Power struggles, rebellions, you name it, they had it. And then came the Mongols. Genghis Khan's grandson, Hulagu Khan, set his sights on Baghdad. Now, the Mongols were known for their military prowess, and they weren't exactly known for their peaceful negotiations. They laid siege to the city in 1258, and after a brutal siege, Baghdad fell. The destruction was catastrophic. Libraries were burned, scholars were killed, and the city that was once a beacon of knowledge was left in ruins. It was a devastating blow to the Islamic Golden Age, a stark reminder that even the most brilliant civilizations are vulnerable to the tides of history. But here's the thing, even though Baghdad fell, the knowledge that flourished there didn't disappear entirely. It spread throughout the world, influencing countless other civilizations and laying the groundwork for the Renaissance and the scientific revolution. So, while the physical city might have crumbled, the legacy of Baghdad's golden age continues to inspire us to this day. Imagine a city built on water with canals instead of streets. That's Venice for you. This city wasn't just beautiful, it was a straight-up powerhouse. We're talking serious maritime dominance. They were like the FedEx of their time, controlling trade routes all over the Mediterranean Sea. Spices, silk, you name it, Venice delivered. This made them crazy rich, and their influence spread like wildfire. But here's the thing with power, guys, it can be fleeting. Just like that, Venice's grip on the seas started to slip. Other European countries, they wanted a piece of the action. And guess what? They were coming in hot with new trade routes and powerful navies. Talk about some serious competition. Could Venice hold on? Stick around to find out. Remember how Venice was all about that sea life? Well, turns out being a city on water can have its downsides. Like, literally. As Venice's enemies started to flex their muscles, the city faced another challenge, the sea itself. We're talking rising sea levels, shifting tides, and some seriously unstable foundations. Imagine your house slowly sinking into the water. Not cool, right? That's what the Venetians were dealing with. Talk about adding insult to injury. To make matters worse, Venice got hit with the plague not once, but multiple times. Yeah, the Black Death, that terrifying pandemic that wiped out a huge chunk of Europe. It ravaged Venice, weakening its population and economy. Talk about a 1-2 punch. Venice, once a symbol of power and prosperity, was facing some serious challenges. Their dominance was fading, and the city itself was literally sinking. It's a story of triumph and tragedy, guys, and it teaches us that even the mightiest empires can crumble. But hey, that's history for you, always full of surprises. Now we're heading to North America for this one. Forget New York City, forget LA, we're going back in time to a city that ruled the continent long before the USA was even a thing. Meet Cahokia, a sprawling metropolis that thrived centuries ago in what is now Illinois. We're talking a massive city with a population bigger than London at the time. And guess what? These guys were master builders, creating huge earthen mounds that would put modern construction to shame. These weren't just any mounds, they were like skyscrapers of their time, used for religious ceremonies, homes for the elite, and even astronomical observations. Cahokia was a hub of trade, culture, and innovation, and its influence stretched across North America. But here's the mystery, guys. What happened to this once great city? Why did it vanish into thin air, leaving behind only these enigmatic mounds as silent witnesses to its former glory? Cahokia's decline is a real head-scratcher, even for historians. We're talking about a city that thrived for centuries, only to be abandoned seemingly overnight. What could have caused such a dramatic collapse? Some theories point to environmental factors like deforestation or climate change. Imagine if the resources that sustained Cahokia suddenly dried up. That would be a game changer. Others suggest that social unrest, disease outbreaks, or even attacks from rival tribes could have played a role. It's like a real-life history mystery. Whatever the cause, Cahokia's disappearance serves as a stark reminder that even the most advanced civilizations are vulnerable to the forces of history. It's a story that continues to fascinate and puzzle archaeologists to this day. And the craziest part? Cahokia wasn't the only one. Across North America, similar mound-building cultures rose and fell, leaving behind tantalizing clues about their lost worlds. It's like a giant jigsaw puzzle, and we're still trying to put all the pieces together. And there you have it, guys, 12 cities that once ruled the world, each with its own story of rise, fall, and lasting legacy. From the hanging gardens of Babylon to the sinking canals of Venice, we've journeyed through time, uncovering the secrets of these lost empires. But here's the thing. History isn't just about the past, it's about understanding the present and shaping the future. By studying the mistakes and triumphs of those who came before us, we can learn valuable lessons about our own world. So what did we learn from these fallen empires? That power is fleeting, that even the mightiest civilizations are vulnerable, and that the choices we make today can have a lasting impact on the future. If you're as fascinated by history as I am, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for more mind-blowing content. And don't forget to let me know in the comments which lost city you'd like to see explored next. Until next time, stay curious, my friends. Curious.